fact that they've gone up there and put numbers towards the front, but I think it's just a case of, why is Intermarché pushing on? I think by them pushing on, I don't think that Coy is there, but let's confirm that. But I think the rest of the team are there.
48 kilometres to go. You're right, 6 yellow jerseys there for those killer bees. Here's Luis Leon Sanchez, former Spanish champion, back now with Astana, Kazakhstan. Had a year away and he's returned. And the usual team changes. New teams to talk about, including one at the back. But a new rider in a familiar team. Timon Arensman from Netherlands has joined Ineos Grenadiers. Let's hear from him.
Timon, how are you first? How do you feel? New year, new team?
Yeah, pretty good. First race in new colours, new team. So excited to start the season.
What's the goal for this week?
I think we have 3 good cards to play in the GC, and also the second and fourth stage could be nice for the GC and stage result for us. So let's try to get some nice results here.
We are only in the beginning of the season where you have to test yourself, obviously, with the competition. But where do you think is your shape? Where would you want your shape to be at this moment?
I think it's not too bad, but I think I'm not in the best shape yet. Also the first race with a new team, so it's all new for me, and normally I need some time to get into the season, to get some races in, and then I will be better throughout the season. So I don't expect myself to be too good, but I shouldn't be far off.
Was it really different preparing with Ineos than preparing with before?
Yeah, of course, it's been a bit different this winter. But I think we had a good preparation, good new teammates. All the staff did a very good job this winter, so I think we should be prepared for a nice season.
Thank you very much. Best of luck, success.
Old Timon Arensman will know this town of Chalot very well because he and his mates have spent at least a week or two in the last couple of weeks out here, training with Matteo Tosato. There's a couple of other sports directors out there as well. They've brought here, as you'd expect from Ineos Grenadiers, Castro Viejo, De Plus, Fraile, Gegenhardt, Puccio and the Spanish champion Rodriguez are all here, and within that lineup several options for the general classification. And he talked about stages 2 and 4, and they seem to be the most mountainous affairs on the list, Brian.
Yeah, they are. Quite a hilly event this year, and I think Rodriguez went well in it last year as well, so as Spanish champion you always want to do well. Just trying to look at the yellow jerseys as well. I think what I'm hearing is Olaf Koy could have made it back on the descent there. 6 riders. I would be surprised if they could have left him on his own anyway. But with the Intermarché pushing hard on the front, I think it's just a case of keep the tempo high, get to the next climb, and give him less chance to recover, because he is a big threat to the likes of Grmail.
Eddie Dunbar spotted just making his way up. This is Lawson Craddock at the back wearing 92, but just a couple of wheels in front of him in the new blue jersey. Eddie Dunbar, the Irishman, he's going to be returning to a Grand Tour for the first time in a few years this year, and he's in a team that is all ready to look after him, and try and steer him to success. He's going to be riding the Giro d'Italia, Brian, we think.
Yeah, good. I hope to see him there. He had a bit of a mechanic or a puncture earlier on, got himself back, and now changed teams. So we heard from Arensman, everything's new. He's maybe not, his target's not at the start of the season, but I think sometimes when you jump into a new team, okay, things are new, but just kind of rejuvenates you a little bit, and I'm hoping that Eddie Dunbar does well when he rides the Giro.
Wearing the number 91. I have a feeling that Blake Quick has not made it into this front group, because there's the Eddie Dunbar support crew, the sprint crew supporting Blake Quick is not in this group at the moment for Jaco Alula. Already got their first couple of wins of the season. It's all about Intermarché today. They have supreme confidence in one of the most gifted riders in the sport at the moment, in Biniam Girmay. Last year he showed how good he was in the classics at the Giro d'Italia. His aim this year is to win a monument, he says. They raced with real confidence, didn't they, in Mallorca? He got a couple of podium places, and they're racing with real confidence today again as they take on the final climb of the day.
I think the point for me, okay, never won in Mallorca, but I think the team stepped up. The 3 wins, and when the team are winning, you're not worried about it. You know that you're going to have, you know, faithful lieutenants when you come to the big races. So it does look as if Intermarché have started the season strong. They've, as you say, got a lot of confidence, and that's going to give Gremai confidence that his team are all on par and all performing well, because you need a strong team round about you.
Keep checking those yellow jerseys like you do, Brian, and looking for those numbers. I've just spotted Sam Oman. He's certainly not a sprinter for Jumbo-Visma. There's a few Uno-X jerseys in there as well. Of course, Alexander Kristoff is making his debut for his new team. One man I don't think is there as well, just taking a look down. Molano doesn't look like he's in the group at the moment for UAE. And we might be about to see those who were dropped. Let's see. Aha, here we go. Second group, and Kristoff, in fact, is in this second group. I think that Moschetti will be in here as well. Sprinter from the brand new team Q36.5. Oh, rider from Ineos caught out here. It's not the biggest of group, this, Brian.
There's one rider in there from Jumbo-Visma, and I don't think it's Olaf Koy. I really do think that he's made it up here, because there's six riders there, and they were over the top of the Calderata, so what, 30-40 seconds? They wouldn't have left him on his own, so I really do think they've probably made it across in the descent now. It's now that Intermarché have kind of ridden, we're on the final climb, as you say. It tops out 35 kilometres to go, so it's a long one.
10 kilometres long at around 4% this climb to Bernia. Bernia, the name written in the Catalan language. This is one of Spain's several bilingual regions, Valencia. The Valencian dialect of Catalan is the native language alongside Castilian Spanish, so you'll see signs and places written maybe in confusing different ways. Of course, we're all used to calling it Alicante, but the real name is Alacant, for example. Calpe is Calp, just in case you see some street signs with a couple of different words on them. That's the reason for it.
Looks like Bahrain want to push on a little bit now with Caruso and Wout Poels. And, you know, this is going to make it a little bit more difficult for some of the kind of faster guys to stay in here. Of course, they've got Bilbao, who can finish quite well in a smaller group. So let's see if they want to kind of push on. But just looking a little bit further back, Rob, that group behind is not that far away.
It looks like a big effort that's being put in by a couple of riders from the Q36.5 pro cycling team. I mentioned they've got Matteo Moschetti, and it's their debut in Europe for the new team. So welcome to the pro peloton, to Doug Ryder's new team. Kilometres to go. Christoph's teammates were trying their best to help him. It looks as though not everybody in this group is hanging on, though, to the pace that's being set here. And setting the pace at the front looks to be Damien Howson, the Australian, former what was Bike Exchange rider.
Yeah, they are getting close, but like you say, they're starting to feel the pinch a little bit. Even Christoph was starting to drop back a little bit, and if Caruso keeps this up, it's going to be a huge effort to come up to the front of the race now. So I still think there's opportunities. Maybe we get further up. If this pace remains as it is, we might get some attackers. You know, someday like a Marc Soler again. He seemed quite keen and trying to do something. So as you say, they started without Ayuso he had a bit of tendinitis, so he wasn't on the start line. But you know, they'll look at options for sure, because I think they were coming with Ayuso to try and win this race, so they might have options open up to them now.
They've still got options for the general classification as well, mainly with Brandon McNulty, who's actually come out and said that this year his aim is to try and win 1 week stage races. That's what he wants to do, as well as supporting his leaders in the Grand Tours. And McNulty's just being positioned at the front now by one of the masters of the art, Rafael Maica.
Yeah, it did show good form, wasn't it, in Mallorca just last week, so that'll extend into this week, and you know, it's kind of building the foundations, but he was there and thereabouts, and that horrific Challenge Mallorca event that was reduced in distance with the snow.
It was horrific enough riding out there in the mountains the other day in the sunshine. It was so cold, Brian. About 10-15 centimetres of snow still up there.
Do you know what, I used to feel that, see, when I was in Spain or somewhere else, Italy, I used to feel the cold a lot more than I did back home. Maybe it's a psychological thing, because in Scotland you expect it to be cold. I just think it's a different cold.
Levels of damp are different as well. And the way you can dress is different depending on how warm it is down the bottom. This is top stuff from Bahrain though. A couple of Jumbo-Visma riders to the back. Now keep your eye on the back of this group, because starting to drop, you've got several riders. I mean, this rider dropping is no surprise, because this is Xavier Isasa. He was in the breakaway earlier on today. Jumbo-Visma, 3 riders towards the front. And I've just seen Olof Koy. He's towards the back of that group, Brian.
I think your pictures are better than mine, because
I saw number 14 flash by. It's the Giro d'Italia bound Damiano Caruso who's pulling things along in his red jersey for Bahrain Victorious. They ride for Peyo Bilbao and Mikel Landa here. Both riders going to the Tour this year as it starts in the Basque Country. But there's also Gino Maeda. Wout Poels the winner here. And in a fast finish maybe like today, keep your eyes on Fred Wright. Could that be the tactic for today here, Brian? Make sure that Wright's given a good chance. Of course, we saw what he did in the Vuelta last year, everything but win. He obviously likes Spain.
No, I'd love to see that. They've also got Matej Mohoric as well, who's a demon descender. And so they've got, I think, every
champions.
They certainly have, and you know, you just said 19 teams. This will feel like home for a lot of these teams, because you know, they've been training camps pretty much towards the end of last year and the start of this year in Calpe. This will be kind of home training roads. This will be where they kind of tested themselves up these climbs. So, you know, for a lot of them, this will feel like racing at home.
Little splits developing on this descent here. You can see Biniam Gedemeyers following them well. Damiano Caruso making plenty of the splits at the front. And there are 56.5 kilometres to go. If you're on the telly, time for your first quick commercial break. Beautiful, beautiful mountains in the background. Guadalest mountain range not far from here. And this is where about a month ago you'd have seen lactate testing going on. Riders being tested at the top of this climb, going full gas from bottom to top. It is one of the great testing climbs in world cycling, where basically, Brian, everybody finds out how well they're going and how fit they are.
Indeed, and it's a nice part of the world. I think there was a study when Team Sky were looking at coming to a training camp. They did a little bit of a study, and just north of Valencia was the apparently, I'm only going by their reckoning, was the driest part of Europe. So it doesn't get too wet in this part of the world, so that when you do organise a training camp, then you know it's going to be dry, and that's very important, dry and sunny. It's the most driest and sunniest parts of Europe. We covered the Challenge Mallorca races last week, just over the water, and you know, you could have almost guaranteed sun and dry conditions, but that wasn't the case last week, Rob. So, but over here it wasn't so bad because the father-in-law is just down the coast a little bit. Well, he posts up and I see the pictures popping up in my timeline, and they're out. There's a group of them out pretty much all. Obviously they go to the cafe stop. There's a group of them out every day in dry conditions.
Cloudy today, but dry enough here as well. I could say it was dry over there whilst it was raining and snowing over here in Mallorca. Still got plenty of snow over here, by the way, after the other day, but the sunshine has arrived, thankfully. Here we are on the way down from the Coll de Rates. Next up, Puerto de Bernia, which is our second and final main climb of the day. There is a final little kicker that we see inside the last 10 kilometres before we get to Altea. Basically going out of the town of Calpe, isn't it, and over along the coastline. And as the hills and mountains drop into the Mediterranean Sea. You see a couple of splits developing. No panic here majorly, but early doors just shows you what good technical descending to do, and if you miss a wheel, those gaps can open up. Long way from the finish though yet today still. On a day that a lot of people were thinking could have ended in a sprint, but it's one of those wonderfully unpredictable endings today, and it all depends on how it's ridden. We've already seen that there was a group off the back, wasn't there, with Olaf Koy involved, or rather not involved where he wanted to be.
Yeah, it very much looks like that, and I think he will get back on, but then again, the next climb, he'll possibly get distance again. Will he get back on before the finish? It really depends on how fast they race at the front of the peloton.
A very warm welcome back to television viewers. Add a reminder that if you'd like to watch uninterrupted throughout the season, we've all sorts of races and documentaries on offer for you. Make sure you subscribe to our digital platforms, that is GCN Plus or Discovery Plus. Little bits of gap opening up on the descent from Coll de Rates. Approaching the town of Parcent at the bottom.